Have you ever had a client tell you this land is too expensive and suddenly your confidence drops? And suddenly your words are freezed and you don't have what to say? Well, in today's class, the 47, I'll be teaching you on how you know you can handle um, situations that has to do with pricing and budget objections. When clients have price objections towards your product or towards what you're selling, maybe it's a land or it's a house, or their budget um, range is not matching up to the value you are giving out. So we'll be addressing that today. So I'm going to be showing you how to master price and budget objections so you never lose another client just because they say it's too costly or it's too expensive. Because here's the truth: price objections are rarely about money, right? They are about value, um, uh, perception, how well your client can perceive the value of that particular product you are giving to them. If they can perceive the value right, then you don't have a money problem. In fact, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, it's not a money problem, it's a value problem, right? So if your client believes the value outweighs the cost, right, then they will pay. If you can see the value for, you want to eat abacha, for example. It's a local food here in Nigeria, especially in the east, right? You want to eat abacha, you go to a restaurant, a very high class restaurant, and they tell you that abacha goes for 5,000 naira, and you're like, 5,000 naira? You don't perceive the value, right? It's not about the pricing, but when you see the ambience of the restaurant, the AC, the good customer service, the good service experience, how neat and detailed their butcher is made, how tasty it is, 5,000 naira doesn't look any further big in your eyes. It just looks rightly affordable, rightly commensurate to the value you're getting. So it is with real estate. There must be a perceived clear value proposition that you're giving to your client, and they receive it in the light on which you're presenting it to them. That way they no longer see things as being costly. So why clients raise objections most of the time is that clients don't always mean they cannot afford it, right? Clients don't always mean they can't afford it. Sometimes it's a defensive mechanism. Yes. Sometimes even you look at it, it means that if you study yourself on a day-to-day activities, you know how to understand other people too. Not that because you are other people, but because there are similarities in the way human beings we are programmed to think, right? If you are buying something from someone now, you could say, and the person calls a particular amount, probably 10,000 naira for a pen, and you're like, hi, about now 10,000 naira, I beg now. No, too cost. It's not, no, it's too cost. You let us do 9,000 naira. That objection you raised is the same thing I'm saying here. It's a defense mechanism you are bringing up for yourself. Do you understand? So when prices are regarded as too costly by your client, just know that they are bringing up a defense mechanism. They want to test how confident you are in your products. So at that point, that guy will now start telling you that, Oga, this product, Kia, Abikio in Hausa, this product is a very good product. See now, see this one, tells you, oh my customer, into like this, into like that. See, Oga, if it's a shoe, they will bend it, show you this kind of stuff. What do you think they are doing? What they are doing is that they are trying to build your confidence in the product, helping you to see the value in it and why it is no longer going to be costing your eyes, because now that thing has become an exchange of a higher value in their eyes more than your money. you prefer to have that shoe in your legs than have your money in your bank? What makes the difference? Why are you willing to let go of your hard-earned money? Because you perceive you have something that more than having that money. You see reasons to let go of that money. That's the same thing, it applies in real estate. Other times it is uncertainty. Sometimes clients are uncertain. They are not sure, right? They are uncertain about the product, about the pricing, if it's truly it or not. They don't yet understand the true value of what they are paying for. So they are uncertain about it. So you want to bring clarity of the value you are proposing, you are giving to them, right? And yes, sometimes it's genuine. Yes, there are sometimes that it is actually way beyond their, but they don't have the money. But don't always assume that most of the people come to you. Remember, like we taught yesterday, how that, when there is an objection, know that there is an intention, right? When there is an objection, there is an intention. So yes, sometimes it's genuine, the budget is tight, and but even then, the right payment structure or value framing can win them over. They can decide to stretch. They will have one money locked up somewhere, and they might decide to just break it because they find having this property much valuable than locking that money in a fixed savings. So they can go to their bank and go and say, you know what, I'll have to pull in resources. You know what that means now. So as a realtor, you must always ask yourself, is it about cost or is it about value? Of course, you know what the answer is. It is about value. So be a value-driven person when you're presenting products or services to your clients. It's about what? Value. So one thing you want to do is to shift your mindset. Don't compete on price, and compete on value rather, right? You don't want to start dragging over price. Focus on value. Don't do the price talk. When you drop the price, leave it there. Talk about the value. Don't do a price dragging. Focus on what is in it for them. Remember one of our sales psychology class, we talked about how that when you are, when a client is looking to buy something, what they are actually looking out for is what is in it for me. What can this product do for me? What do I stand to gain letting go of my money for this product? Do you understand? Yeah. So if a client is saying it's expensive, don't rush to give a discount. Don't do that. Instead, frame the conversation around the location advantage. This estate is about 10 minutes, 20 minutes away from so landmarks, major landmarks. This location has certain advantages. It focus on appreciational potentials, return on investment. Today it is this amount. It is said that it can reach by value proposition from our estate valuer. This estate is said to reach about 200 to 200% in the next 1-2 years. So similar plots, you show testimony of similar plot that see this was selling for this amount before, now it is now selling for you. So you can see in the space of 6 months, 7 months, you can see the potential of growth in land in this environment. Do you understand? Another thing you want to put to them is to show them flexible payment plan. Show them that okay, you can make an initial deposit of 30%, 50%. Our company allows for that. You can spread your balance into 3 months or 6 months. Do you understand? Or 12 months, as the case of the policy of the project might be. Right? This kind of things you encourage them. So you don't have to pay all at once. You're telling your client now, you don't have to pay all at once. You can spread it across so duration of time after making this initial deposit. Amazing, right? So another thing is secure ownership, security of ownership. Security, unlike many risky lands, this property has a C of O. That means your investment is secure, which is the highest form of document you can get after the IRO of O. The next to it is what? The C of O. Not a survey plan, not a government consent, but the C of O. That shows the security of your land investment that we have. And yes, our property documentation is open to you to come and view at our office, right? Which means peace of mind for you and your family. Now, is you telling the client. So when they understand the security of ownership, they are sure that their investment cannot be lost. Remember, I told you yesterday that one thing that the client seeks is what? Security, emotional security, financial security, futuristic security. Do you understand? So you want to be able to convey that value to your client. So remember this line: clients don't say no to price, they say no to lack of perceived value. Don't forget that word, perceived value, right? So right, number third is the psychology of framing your price. The psychology of framing your price, right? Comparison, you can use the comparison method. So for example, if you are saying now, if you buy a car today for 15 million naira, oh, that reminds me, I was going to a meeting with Moses Bliss, and on my way I saw a jeep caught fire. It burnt down, seriously. By the time the fire service, in fact, it was close to the airport, the fire service team came to quench the fire. Oh, everything is gone. It's gone. Like, imagine somebody walking out, a young man walking out, and then he goes to buy a car. For one reason or the other, the car got crashed. He has not even insured it. That's a bad one. If he has insured it, at least the insurance firm will be able to provide him some funds to get another car, or probably get him another car, depending on the insurance, dexterity around that property. But these things can go. You can buy an iPhone. Some of you have a land in your hand. That iPhone in your hand is what? A land value. But that iPhone, that Samsung phone, can depreciate. It can fall down. The screen can get smashed. You can see what I'm doing right now. I am doing the comparison method, right? So for me personally now, of course, it's a good bias. I will rather invest in land than buy a car. Now, I will ensure that that land gives me the money for the car, right? So yes, comparison method. So you can say something like this: instead of you buying a car today for 15 million, it will depreciate in the next 5 years. The reason why we have cars on the high side now in Nigeria is because of the growing inflation, which is affecting, and the import duty levies. Do you understand? The import duties that are placed on importing of cars is really high. That is one of the things that's making cars more expensive. So we have a lot of recycled cars in Nigeria, right? People are using cars from 1995, 2001, 2005. Imagine when the world has, people are driving now cars, but because of we are not manufacturing in our country, we are leveraging on external importations and industries outside of this country to even get used cars, disposed cars, right? Somebody needs to support Innoson, our indigenous car manufacturing company. Well, what I'm trying to say here in essence is that car or these other gadgets can depreciate in value. Yes, they have their role to play in our day-to-day life. You need a car for ease movement and the likes, but whilst that is good, there is something much better. And if you buy this land for 2.5 million, it could double in 3 years, which is really more expensive. So you can ask your client, which is really more expensive, right? Having an asset or a liability, truly. Do the maths. So another thing in the sales psychology of your price framing is break down costs. 2.5 million sounds big. Now this is you talking. 2.5 million naira sounds big, but if you spread it, it is just 416,000 naira per month for 6 months. Less than what some people spend on rent. Yes, rent here in Abuja to get a self-contained, self-contained, just a room and a parlor, your kitchen, your toilet, you're spending nothing less than 1.5 to 2 million naira just to rent that here in Abuja. And then you can use that same annual rent to buy a lasting wealth. Well, these are kind of things that you can use, when framing the price using the psychological method. I hope you're getting value, right? Another thing you can do is the opportunity cost. Opportunity cost. I'm sure you must have heard about this in secondary school in economics. The opportunity cost. 2 years from now, this same 5 million naira, okay, let me just read from my script here. Imagine 2 years from now, this same land is 5 million naira. How would you feel knowing you could have bought it for 2 million naira or 2.5 million naira today? Do you understand? Right? So, opportunity cost is taking advantage of the present current opportunity and securing the future cheaper. That's it. So when you shift the frame, what we're talking about, frame psychology of framing your price. When you shift the frame, the price looks smaller compared to the long-term value, to the status value. Every young man should be a landlord. How would you midwife taking them from thinking sustainability, thinking just having a car and having assets, right? So another thing is, let me script out some examples for 2 expensive objections that you get, right? So 2 scripts. I did the script yesterday. Let me just do a script. Script 1. Now, value comparison. Now the client is saying the land is too expensive. What you do as a realtor now, you're the one speaking. I completely understand, sir, or the name of the person most preferably. I completely understand you, Mr. James. May I ask, compare it to what? When you say expensive, compared to what? Because if you look at properties in this same axis, they are selling for 3 million to 3.5 to 6 million naira. I told you in Guagwalada now, Stephen Akitayo is selling his project for 6 million naira, right? Other projects here, prices have gone up because of the infrastructure and development that has come to this place. So now you continue talking and say what we are offering you here is actually below the market value, plus you are getting guaranteed documentations. So in reality, it's not expensive. It's actually a smart buy. It's a smart move to buy before price further increases or rises. Do you understand? So this scenario now, you have created a value understanding with the client. So the client, guard of it's too expensive drops. So another scenario now is the payment flexibility. Now your client is saying it's too expensive, right? So you as a realtor, you can say, I hear you. I know 2.5 can feel like a big commitment at the moment for you. That's why we have created a flexible payment option. So instead of you paying at once, you can actually, with just 750,000 naira, you can make that initial deposit and spread your balance over the month. preferable to your budget, preferable to your financial stretch capacity, 3 months, 6 months, as the case may be. The important thing is to secure your plots now before the next price increase. Do you understand? So notice, in both scripts, you are not defending the price. You are reframing value and showing them options. Right? That's what you're doing. So another is this is something that can help you as a tip in order to handle price objections. Right? So we've spoken about this before, but just to run through it again. Stay calm and confident. If you panic, the client senses weaknesses. You have to stay calm and confident. Number two, acknowledge, don't argue. Acknowledge, don't argue. I understand it's more powerful than no. It's not expensive. I understand. It's better than no, ma. It's not expensive. Number three, redirect the focus. Right? Redirect the focus. Always turn the conversation back to value, not price, not cost. Redirect what? The focus. Let their mind and their brain think value. You get what I'm saying, right? Eventually, now you can also use tell a story. You can use this the storytelling method, right? Share a real life client story, or probably you to your bot. You can share your own story too, right? One of our clients said the same thing the last time. They eventually bought, and today the land is worth double. They call me every month to thank me, for hinting them on this opportunity. Do you understand? That kind of feedback testimonial does something in the heart of your buyers or your clients, right? So here's an action point. Here's your assignment. Write down 2 scripts you will use the next time a client says it's too expensive. Practice them using until they flow naturally. Practice them until you don't need to look at your script to flow naturally. Just practice. Even though you've not experienced it, just begin to practice. So write out 2 scripts when people bring about price objection, distance objection. What are those scripts, right? Also list 3 specific value points of your current property: the location, appreciational potential, documentation, payment plan, security, and the likes. These are your weapons when price objections comes up, right? It's very, very important, right? So this is my closing remark to you. Remember, price objections are not rejections. I've said that before. Objections are not rejections, right? They are invitations. They show your client is interested, but they want you to convince them of the value. They want to be convinced of the value. So from today, stop seeing too expensive as the end of a transactional conversation, right? Rather, start seeing it as the beginning of a persuasion process, right? Because when value is clear, price is fair. When value is clear, price is fair. Well, that's it for today. My name is Emmanuel Adeyemi. I'm the MD at Banah Realty Limited. And yes, your mentor on you becoming a millionaire. Thank you for listening.